So I listen to uh, no friends when they would like to ask something of from the real guides. Uh, they will have some kind of petitions, and they have some questions to be asked. They will ask for help and all that. So I was just wondering. That's why I asked this question. I was just wondering whether this is a form of light prayer. But you said everything. I now understand. It's not prayer in the strict sense of it, of which with that worship kind of connotation. So I think that's okay.
I'm going to write a group on it, and it's going to be called Learn to See What Makes Sense. Okay? Yeah, see, and it's not about that. It's learning to see what makes sense, Charles. So again,
Yeah.
just like looking at the world and what's taking place with all the distortion, purposely planned poison distortion of this world and destruction, learn to see what makes sense, not sit and beg the guides for this or that, but learn to see. What did Rebazar say? If you're going to pray, pray for purity. And what does that mean? What does that really mean? That's number one, is purity. So once you recognize what purity is, why is it that you have to pray for anything? Because once you stand in it and see it, then you decide to activate it and be it. So why would you need to pray for anything else? You see? But people are begging for all kinds of stuff for their personal life. And really, it's more than obvious. If you need a job, look in the paper, look on the internet, whatever. So learn to see it. And so learn to see what makes sense. I would say that makes a lot more sense than sitting and constantly begging for something. Yes, we do ask questions and whatever, but at the same time, learn to see what makes sense, because it already is available. Now, when it comes to the outside world, it's like, people want a job. I get it. Well, if the job isn't there, then what do? Just like I've done, you make your own job. This is what I was saying with Miriam and her group. It's not a matter of waiting for me to do something or whatever, or create something, or anybody, or look for a job. But then, you know what? Get together. I gave that example of those African women that got together. They created their own position. And see, this is what I see with the world. Again, most people are looking to their gods, looking to the guides, looking to the government. They're always looking for something else, when all they have to do is just like what we're doing here. You get together, you start discussing things, you formulate something, you create your own community. We can create our own community. This is the whole idea of what we're doing. But it takes agreement. And most people, well, they'll just stay with their personal lives. Well, have fun. Guess what? The world's changing. And so I'm creating a universal community for people that recognize what we're doing. And but again, most people want their personal lives, and it's like, hey, go have it. Just like in the sky, when you see the birds flying together, or the fish in the ocean, they're all together. It's about survival, is what it is. And that's what I see as this universal community. And most people think, oh, it's just a cute idea. No, it's bigger than that, simply because the whole of life and the real guides back what I'm deciding, because the intent is real and pure and sincere. And that's the difference. It's not just an idea, okay? It's like, oh, we're going to grow real food. That's not the idea. Those are things that we'll do. So, yes, I understand that. And everything actually, no matter what a person thinks or decides, Charles, is already covered. And we're fine with it. And we will, relate to it accordingly to what makes sense. But at the same time, it's not a matter that we're going to do it for somebody. That becomes the difference. This is where people, when they do position the real guides, they want it done for them. That's not the idea. We simply, there's guidance there. We have an education there, okay, which is totally unique, which gives people the hints. What does Tony Robbins do? Is he living people's lives? No, he's just charging them a lot of money to give them ideas, which are really emotional things that get them all hyped about their one-dimensional world. Hey, fine, Tony's doing his part, but that's as far as it goes. And David Icke with the reptilians, etc., it's all basically one-dimensional. That's as far as it goes. We cover all the bases through all the natural environment, but you must learn to see it. And you must learn to get out of the begging mode. And the interesting thing is that all the Africans that are in Africa chose to come into Africa for this lifetime. Nobody chose that for them. So they must work from that position. I chose in a certain way to come into this world and go through all the struggles that I did to get here. And I chose that, and that's fine because I'm grateful for what I know now. So you start off from a realistic position of what has been decided, and it is though, again, most people have the God idea within them, thinking that, oh, God created me and God placed me in Africa as a black man. Why did God do this? Am I cursed? You see, again, all these ideas are nonsense. No. Would you have the real knowledge, and that is that you created your situation. And I'm not happy with everything I've created. I've got to refigure it constantly, and I accept that. And I get discouraged at times too, but I deal with it. And so, again, I see that, the Africans really have more of an advantage than I do. But they don't see that yet. But I see it. They really do. And so, but if people want to keep begging and whatever, again, when it's the idea thinking that it's going to be given to them, again, in other words, that's the old God idea. The idea is that they are to learn to see it so they can do it for themselves, and this is how you become self-sufficient. A person cannot become self-sufficient, when others are doing it for them. Yes, there is a support there, of course, that's a given. And just like I taught my daughter, I taught her to be self-sufficient, which she is. She goes out there, she's got her own company, etc. She's always done that because that's how I taught her to do it. My wife, on the other hand, my former wife, she taught her to be dependent. So she likes to hang on to her emotional drama. And that's not good or bad, it's a choice. You can always choose differently. So I see the huge potential with this world, and that is that, hey, everybody in the world that is agreeing to all these agencies that control and destroy the earth can simply stand up and walk out of the building at any time if they have the courage to do so. And they can go create anything they want, which can be a lot better. They can make better choices, but will they do that? And you cannot tell me that that's not a real possibility, because it is. It's all a matter of choice. And once that's done, let's just say, imagine that's done, look at how different things would be accordingly, because it's just simply a matter of giving up that agreement and giving up these old ideas of how to do things. Hey, people have begged the gods, begged everybody and their saviors for eons, for millions of years. And you know what? They're still in the same position. Take a look at the real history that you and others have been through. Relate to them. Hey, you've been here millions of lifetimes. You've been doing this same thing. And oh yeah, you've got your little la-la land. Guess what? You had it many times before. And you're still back here and you know nothing. You're still struggling. Is it working for you? See? So maybe it's time to see things different. Will you take the risk to do that? See it differently? So when things are approached to me, I always, I kind of bother people. And that is that I just don't agree. I do, but I don't. And that is that there is an opportunity there, but you got to take the risk to see it. It's seeing, you see. Again, from that literal side, it's very close. It seems to be the reality because people are taught. They're purposely militarized in the educational systems, all of them, through the greatest universities or whatever in the world. The greater the university, the greater the brainwashing. That's really how it is. I would suggest to go back to first and second grade and have fun there and just do some coloring and finger painting. It makes more sense. At least you're not harming the natural environment. to where, you got your degree and you're out there working for some company with your white coat and your badge on, creating chemical crap to destroy the world with. I suggest you go back to first and second grade and forget all that. Yeah, what good is that degree and that diploma and that job if what you're doing is destroying yourself and others? What is the benefit of that? So yeah, it's a real risk-taker position that we have here, but we're providing everything for everyone. And so again, this petitioning of this or that and wanting resolve because of that, there's really no such thing. There's really no such thing at all. So again, yeah, and it enhances the old God idea and worshiping and prayer, etc. And people have been doing it. And you know what? They're destroying the world with it. And they don't see it. The love idea, they're all tap lined and they keep spreading this infection. And they don't see that, they're thinking that, oh, gee, love will cure everything. Well, yes, there is the love aspect there. Again, nothing is negated. But it's not the whole picture. Is loving your plants going to make them grow or whatever? Well, maybe it is in a personal sense. But there is a bigger view also, and that is your real awareness. So again, it's all choice. Yeah, and so we're providing something really amazing to this world for people to have an opportunity to recognize. And we have everything available. We really do. More so than ever, but they've got to learn to see it because it is here. And if it's not, we'll create it or provide it in some way as it pops up. That's why I created all these groups and all these ideas to try and cover the bases every which way that I can. And it is so. So you really don't have to ask the questions, but just like you in your school, you provide the lesson to the students. And what do you tell them? Do your homework. And then some of them come back and say, well, gee, teacher, I didn't have time. My favorite TV show was on, or, I was sick or something like that. Okay, well, that's fine. You can watch your TV show. You can be sick. Okay, you decide when you're going to do your homework or not. So again, each individual decides, don't they? You can't do their homework for them. So this begging and this petitioning stuff, yes, we're very direct. In other words, do something that makes sense with your survival on all levels. And your real survival is recognizing your real awareness. Yes, you have to do things here to keep the body going because, again, you need this experience as a comparison to recognize the all is. But it's really about survival. It's not about lifestyle. This is what we're marketed into, a submission to nowhere, to just growing old in some comfort little place. You just sit and grow old, and you forget you are ever here. Yeah, that's the lifestyle of the earth person. And that's what they want you to have. And then they'll feed you drugs until the day that you can't swallow them anymore. Yeah, that's getting very real. So again, I would say that what we're doing makes sense, and we can always do better, which we are. We're making better choices, and we're having the most fun, too. Charles, yes, thank you for asking.
Thank you, Duane. Yeah, I don't know whether some other person has some light that he wants to shed on this question of the real guides not working only with no students. If that is the case, and we hear many people talk about the Eastern's life is what will be there after all animals are killed and all the like. I think that prayer is a kind of petition, whether vocal or not vocal. That's within you. Okay, you've decided that, okay, one app is only for communication. You want to get through to the large number of people who are following you. So I don't know whether anybody has something to throw a little light on this.
Well, the idea of Charles, that the real guides only work with those people in the new presentation is not so. In other words, it's like a person that has a cat and a dog. And they have children, so they just don't have children. They have a cat and a dog too, and so because they like cats and dogs, and the boys, they do whatever they want. They're just like you. Look at all the things that you do. They do the same thing. But overall, they're focused on the is, but at the same time, while they're in creation, they do everything also, whatever it is. If it's eat, sleep, have relationships, have children, whatever. They do the same things. And so, no, we're not specialed out from everybody else. It's just that, you might say we have the courage to step up and really define this more so than just sound good ideas, you see. And so, Rebazar and the boys, whatever, they decide their relationships. I don't decide that. And the new presentation is just something for people to relate to. And that's why, okay, there's a new presentation, but really it's kind of in the background. Because I've created the Worldwide Educators, I created WeCare.org, and all these other things that we're constantly creating as references and labels for people to relate to, the New School, the University, the Vessel Project, etc. You see? And this is for everyone. I specified everything is for everyone. That's how life is. It really is. And so there's no discrimination involved. We're not in that category. It's for everybody. Anybody can use the new you. There's a lot of people using the new you out there that we don't know about, and that's fine. And again, everything is according to the individual and what part they want to play or don't want to play. And so, but everything makes sense, from, the little plants we grow to the weeds in the ground to the garlic and the trees and the fruit trees and, everything that's growing, that's happening in life. It all makes sense. And so I just see that, with what we're presenting to the world today, yes, it's very dramatic. It's the big adventure, but at the same time, the world's destroying itself, and even the animals are coming to us and complaining. It's like, help us, because again, the humans, or the people, the beings, the reptilians, whatever, rule the planet, and they're destroying it. And these individuals have come here to learn to go through their process, to gradually wake up, to recognize the is, and their process is being interfered with. And that would be like you trying to go to school, but somebody flattens the tires on the school bus, and so now you got to walk, and maybe it's 5 or 10 miles, and so you get there at noon, and the teacher wonders where in the heck you've been. So the thing is, now you got to tell them, well, somebody flattened the tires on the school bus. And in other words, somebody's interfering with your decided process to eventually wake up. And that's what's happening in the world. There's huge interference with people, and it's purposely done to keep people dumbed down, keep them sick, and to keep coming back lifetime after lifetime after lifetime as supporters. And so even as they destroy people, they get them to come back unconsciously, and they come back into the system, which becomes worse each time, and then they are a product of the system. And so what we're trying to do in the short time that we have is to wake people up. So again, what makes sense now? And yes, there's no discrimination with, again, like the sun shining. It shines upon everything. It doesn't discriminate. It has no attitude about anything that it's shining upon. And this is the whole of life too. But you see, people think in terms of discrimination and attitude, and even though it's been specified, oh, we're not to discriminate or whatever, these are the people that discriminate. You look at all the religions of the world. All they do is discriminate because that's what it's been proposed to do, even though they say they don't. But it's purposely done, you see. And so it's to be a Christian or a Catholic or an atheist or whatever. Yes. these different things. And we do specify things, mainly free being of real light. That's us. But that's our real awareness. It's not in the personal sense. That becomes the difference. It is a real reference, not just a secondary reference. So yes, the boys, they have no attitude about anybody. They constantly look, they walk in silence through the masses to see who has an inkling of interest to wake up. And then what they do is they creatively, demonstrate or, provide something that allows this person step by step to wake up. And that's how you got here and everybody else, you see? So they've given you the opportunity to do that. And so like the sun shining, all we can do is present it, and it's up to people to see it. But they have no attitude about anybody. We have no attitude about anybody, but here's the only attitude that I do have, and that is that if people want to be funny and they want to proclaim their silliness about the ideas that they've established and followed and become self-convinced with, well, then have fun, have fun with yourself. And the thing is that I'm not interested, because they've already made the statement, they've already closed themselves off, they've already slammed the door, and it's like knocking on the door to their house. They won't open it. It's like, go away. It's like, okay, we'll go away. Well, we're still here. We're still always here. And so if they don't get it this lifetime, well, maybe they might in another lifetime. But guess what? We may not have the opportunity to have a presentation in future lifetimes as things get worse, because they're trying to eradicate everything that does make sense, and poison and label everything that it's no good, and natural stuff is no good. It's all GMO, so it's only getting worse. So again, this opportunity is only for a short time. But yes, there's no discrimination. Just, again, the sun. All you have to do is recognize what the sun is demonstrating for your personal self. This will give you a hint as to the wholeness, the isness life is. That's the next step, you see? So it's already there. And animals in nature are demonstrating that. They don't discriminate about anything. They're for everything. They're fine with the the other animals and the other birds and whatever, and the boys are the same. The difference being is that is the individual open to seeing more and to recognizing it. That becomes the difference, and that is something that each person decides for themselves. They're not deciding it. This is where, again, people think their gods decide things for them, and they're more than willing to bow down to restrictions that have been specified in written works, etc. That's all discrimination. And again, when people have decided that and convinced themselves, well, the boys can't get to them. That's why they don't work through these systems, because they can't get to them. So they have to create a new position, something to where the flexibility of an opportunity is available, more so than the specified rigidness of things. But we are very real too, and that is that we point to things that make sense, or the best sense that we can make of it. And so again, we're dealing with a distorted world, so we have to deal with distortion too. So people can think, well, you people think that you know this or whatever, and that, well, what do? Eat pure food all the time? Well, no, we can't eat pure food all the time. We can't sort out all the poisons. We don't have laboratories to do that, etc. And even if we did, wouldn't do it. It's like we just kind of go along with things, and we have to deal with it too. But that's not the main event. The main event is the recognition of real survival with a person's real awareness, and they must understand that there's many parts to themselves. There's the personal part, and then there's the real awareness. And each person decides where they're going to focus and what they're going to take the time with to recognize, not figure out, but recognize. In the personal sense, you figure things out. Okay, so we we want to make a new dinner, so we figure out how to do that, okay? But in the real awareness, okay, it is a recognition accordingly with the real awareness, and the personal self does what it does. So when I see what is and then I transform it into what is possible here, okay, as a presentation, well, this is an interesting process. But in the meantime, when the end result is here, if I write something or say something, again, it's in a secondary position. It is not the actuality, okay? It is in a secondary position, and all it can be is a reference to this reality. But that's up to the individual to do that for themselves. And so the guides, the boys themselves, they recognize this, but at the same time, they cannot interfere with the free will of an individual. Even if the individual, it's interesting too, that as you bring this up, Charles, when an individual prays and begs for something, the life sees what is taking place. And many times the reason that things don't happen in an individual's life because of that is because life sees that if it were to do that, certain things, that it would actually interfere with the free will of the individual. And this is what the person themselves does not see. And that it may, for the most part, handicap them and make their position worse. So their so-called prayers are not answered, because it's better that nothing happens. You see? So that is very rarely seen, is it? So there's always a bigger picture. Always look past the experience and what is not seen, and then learn to recognize that, and then you will see everything. Well, we'll sum it up here, Charles. Yes, we love to have you here, and thank you, because you prompt this and you activate this, and what is recorded here, I would say, is very necessary for those that really want a better understanding. So it's for everyone. I have fun doing it. This is my adventure too, and we really welcome you here. So it's over 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So let's do the new you, and there's always next time. And I'm sure you'll bring something even more interesting next time. Yes, to this conversation, because you're very necessary here, Charles, and what you've added is huge. Yes, bigger than you realize. Yes, so thank you. Yes.